Right, so we just looked at what we need for our slope. So if I'm looking at writing equations, just like I did with the parallel lines, all I really care about on this equation is the slope, because that's going to tell me how I can fix it. So my new slope would be the opposite reciprocal of -5, so it's going to be a positive 1/5. And if you like that as a decimal, it would be 0.2. So it's kind of up to you how you want to look at those. And then I'm telling you the point that it passes through. So in this case, when I'm writing my equation, again, I can use point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I'm going to try that on this one. Y minus 6 equals 0.2 times x minus 10. And then I'm just going to solve, and I'll have my new equation, because I want my equations written in slope-intercept form. Those are the ones that are a lot easier to graph. And then 0.2 times -10. Sometimes I think it's easier if I think about it as 10 times 1/5, because that would be 10 over 5 or -2. You could just type them into the calculator. Y equals 0.2x plus 4, and then I have my new equation. Same idea when I'm looking at number 2. Remember, if there's no number in front of x, my slope is a 1. So the opposite reciprocal of 1 is just going to be a -1. Because 1 over 1, flipping that fraction is still a 1 over 1. It's just I have a negative in there somewhere. This one I'm going to use my x equals 6, y equals 4, just so you can, again, see different methods. 4 equals -1 times 6 plus b, because it's y equals mx plus b. So 4 equals -6 plus b. Add 6 to both sides, 10 equals b. The harder part about doing this one is I still have to rewrite my equation, whereas in number 1, my equation was all done. This one just finds my y-intercept. So y equals, my slope is -1, x plus 10, and if you wrote that, y equals -x plus 10, exact same thing. And number 3, it looks like I forgot my slope, so let's just put that one in. Write an equation of a line that is perpendicular to, let's put in my equation, y equals 4x plus 7, and that will be on your sheet by the time you get that. So when I'm looking at this, the opposite reciprocal of 4 is going to, my new slope is going to end up being -1/4. So being able to know that is helpful again. And then I'm going to use point slope form. So y minus 2 equals -1/4 times x minus a -4. So I'm just going to immediately change that to x plus 4. Y minus 2 equals -1/4 x. -1/4 times 4 should just be a -1. Add 2 to both sides. Y equals -1/4 x plus 1. And if you wrote that slope as a decimal, not a big deal. So look at number 4. Are those two lines parallel? Take a minute to see what you think. And again, I'm really looking at my slopes. That's the only number that I care about. I don't care about the y-intercept. If they are parallel, they have to be the same. They're not the same, therefore not parallel. They are also not perpendicular, because if I have a slope of 2, the opposite reciprocal is going to be -1/2. So not -2, which means that that's why they're not going to be perpendicular either. It's important that I'm looking at not just changing the sign, but I need the reciprocal of that fraction. And then number 6. So we're gonna kind of work through this. It's good if you could pause this and try it, but I want to make sure you get it. So I'm also gonna kind of go through a few of these with you. But it would be better if you paused and then just kind of did a really quick check. So first thing I need to do here is I need to come up with my slope. And if just using my slope formula, 5 minus 1 over 3 minus 1, so 4 over 2, my slope is equal to 2. And now it's asking for an equation of a line. But it's really, I'm going to put this over on the side. I want to make sure I can see that, because I'm going to be referring to that slope again. Y minus 1 equals 2 times x minus 1. Just kind of going through this fast, because hopefully you've paused and are just trying to check. Y equals 2x minus 1 would be my equation in that one. Number 7 is asking for a line that's perpendicular. So I already know what my slope is. My new slope here is just going to be opposite reciprocal of that, and then it doesn't give me a point that I'm going through, so I can write whatever I want for my y-intercept. I don't have to do any calculations, just taking that slope and going from that. The next one's kind of that same idea. So the first thing I'm going to do is come up with my slope. So 1 over 1. And then writing that equation, y minus 3. I'm just picking one of the 2 points. It does not matter which one of those points. So 1x minus 1, adding 3 to both sides. Y equals 1x plus 2. Number 9 is just asking us again that it says write an equation for a line that's perpendicular to that line. It doesn't give us a point that it has to go through. So all I need to do is make sure that I have a -1 slope, because that would be my opposite reciprocal. So y equals negative x or negative 1x plus 8. Your y-intercept could be different. That part doesn't matter. Same idea here. You have a particular slope, and so you are using that slope here, and I have a point, so I'm going to do y minus 9 equals 4 times x minus 1. I just like the point slope form. It makes things pretty easy, because then when I'm done writing this, my equation is all done. But if you're using the other way, not a big deal. And my slope in this case is 4. If I want a line that's perpendicular, I just need to make sure that I'm using the opposite reciprocal, so negative 1/4 x, and then whatever y-intercept I choose. I want a parallel line to number 10, so my slope in 10 was 4, so y equals 4x. Now when I'm doing my y-intercept here, I can't use a positive 5. I can use any other number but a positive 5, because otherwise they would be the same line. This is the one that I'm going to have you work on, and then you are going to be submitting this one in. You are looking at the equations, and I'm just looking for lines that are parallel. So I want, for example, these first 2 equations, these would be a pair of parallel lines because they have the same slope, even though they're in a slightly different format. I'm going to reuse those, so don't cross them off. And then you're going to look for perpendicular lines, and it's easier if you kind of start thinking about how those numbers look, and you're just coming up with, you don't have to fill in every box, but fill in a few of those to show me that you know what you're doing. Sometimes it can be helpful to look at, for example, 5/5 and put that as a reduced fraction. If you have your graphing calculator, if you hit the math button and then number 1 fraction, it's going to take care of that for you. If you don't, then you can still figure them out. So 5.5 over 1, and then multiplying them by 10 can help, and reducing them that way just to kind of get some comparison. But you don't have to fill them all out, so pick the ones maybe that you can easily do. Remember, the negative 1/5, this would be the same as negative 3 over 2x plus 2. Sometimes it just gives you a little bit easier pieces, or you'll start looking at other fractions and realize that they reduce down to the same decimal that you have, and that will help you to figure those out. So you're coming up with like 3 more pairs of parallel, 3 pairs of perpendicular, and you can reuse lines.